Hey everybody, I'm Joshua Lobkowitz, Head of Game Development for Gray Fox Games, and this is the first in a new series of videos where we talk about the games that we have in development right now. It's an opportunity for us to talk about upcoming projects, to discuss the changes in games from the time we signed them to the time they've reached final development, and just to bring you guys more behind the scenes into the process of what it takes to develop and publish a game. If you have any ideas for a name for this series, please leave it in the comments down below. Okay. Today we're going to be talking about Reavers of Midgard, Gods and Prophets. And this is, perhaps obviously, an expansion to Reavers of Midgard. For the purpose of this video, I'm going to assume that you're already somewhat familiar with Reavers of Midgard, but if you're not, there are videos that you can check out that I will put in the description below, including a Watch It Played from Rodney at Watch It Played, a live playthrough with Tom Vassell and the crew at the Dice Tower, or a review from Dan King, the Game Boy Geek. So check those out if you need to see what we're talking about, and then come back here and we can talk about the expansion. So, what does Gods and Prophets bring to the Reavers of Midgard universe? The answer? Tons of stuff. Content that both changes the way you play the game and enhances previous paths to victory. So included in this new expansion are gods, and gods have a dramatic effect on how you play this game. We've also included a couple different tokens, like Valkyrie tokens and Norn tokens, which give you different ways to pursue combat or to chase down your prophecies. We've added a new dice type, the Vordor die, which rewards strong leadership in your crew, and also Valkyrie dice, which, as you might expect, help you in combat. And then, of course, there's a whole host of things like new Reavers and new treasures to loot, so more of what you've seen so far, but with more dramatic effects. So let's talk about each one of those things by themselves and the effect they have on the game. Gods are perhaps the biggest change to the system. They function similarly to Reavers, except with more demands. Gods come on a separate board with a separate space called Celebrate the Gods, and this is a new action that players can take in order to recruit a god into their crew. Like Reavers, they go into spaces like a specialization slot or like your leader slot, but gods are more picky about where you put them. Odin, the Allfather, will serve as nothing less than the leader of your crew. He lets you sacrifice many of your previously acquired items in order for increasing glory, so you can praise Odin and get rewarded for it. Other gods like Thor are very specific in the things that they like to do. Thor likes to fight, so he can only go in the battle at sea spot. But when you have Thor in your crew, whenever you battle at sea, you get to battle twice, getting you potentially twice as many victory points. Yet, if you lose a battle while you have Thor in your crew, he leaves, because he can't be associated with somebody who can't defeat a Kraken. There are 7 gods in total, and every game you only play with 5 of them, so there's a lot of interaction between what the gods do, how they're going to work with each other, what's going to happen in any particular session that you play, and each of them does something unique and powerful and game-changing. This is the core of the Gods and Prophets expansion. We've done a lot in Gods and Prophets to encourage players to pursue their prophecies. Prophecies are the way that in the core game of Reavers of Midgard you score endgame points. The same is true here. There's new prophecies to pursue that interact with some of the new material, but functionally they're hidden scoring that only you know about. In a game of Gods and Prophets, there are 2 pieces that move around the board. One of them is the Prophet, and one of them is the Maelstrom. The Maelstrom is a storm that blocks access to a location, but not all access. Players can still sacrifice dice with ships on them to get past the storm, so your options become a little bit restricted, but with ways to get around it. The game still rewards clever play and foresight. The Prophet encourages players to take a particular action on a turn. Whatever space the Prophet is on, if somebody chooses that action for their action, they will get a free prophecy. This infuses the economy of Reavers of Midgard with more potential endgame scoring, and the new token, the Norn token, magnifies that. Every Norn token you collect allows you to double the value of a prophecy at the end of the game, so it really encourages players to focus on the thing that they want to do and do it as well as possible. The next thing I want to talk about is the new dice. I told you that there are Valkyrie dice, which help you in combat, and Vordor dice, which reward strong leadership. We'll talk about the Vordor dice first. Vordor dice are new dice that only show wild symbols. the raven, Yggdrasil, and the helmet. Each of the sides of the border die has either 1 or 2 wild symbols, which can be really powerful because it means one die can count as 2 things, but only if it matches your leader. Because of this, players are encouraged to find ways to manipulate their border dice or frequently change their leadership, which is a bit of a departure from the original game. It allows for more flexibility in the way people build their crews, and we see more often players activating that leader spot, which is exciting and leads to interesting new opportunities. Valkyrie tokens allow you access to Valkyrie dice, which will help you in combat. They also allow you to use your Reavers in a new way. Let's talk about the dice first. So in combat in Reavers of Midgard, players roll what we call combat dice. They're functionally the axe dice from Champions of Midgard. They miss on 2 sides, they hit on 2 sides, and they hit twice on another 2 sides. Valkyrie dice have a higher and more even progression. They miss only once, they can hit up to 3 times, and one of their sides is a hit, and you add another die to the pool, but you gain a terror. These dice are really powerful for taking on the strongest new monsters that we've put in the game, and you run the risk of entering a Berserker Rage, which nearly guarantees a victory, but makes you a terrifying spectacle at the same time. In addition to giving you access to those Valkyrie dice, the Valkyrie tokens let you rally a Reaver that has previously been put somewhere else. This is a really powerful effect for players who want control over the outcome of their actions in Reavers of Midgard. For those of you who have played, you know that there's 2 ways to take on combat in this game. You can discard dice with specific faces on them, or you can risk a combat roll. The Valkyrie dice encourage you to risk a combat roll, but being able to rally a Reaver gives you a surefire way to get the dice that show the faces that you need. Rallying is a mechanism that players use rarely in the base game, and having a Valkyrie token allows you to do this much more often and much more effectively with the Gods and Prophets expansion. It means that I can take a Reaver that I've drafted and make them my leader, or specialize them for a time, but then when the moment comes that I need the dice that they would have provided with a rally bonus, I can spend a Valkyrie token to rally that Reaver right then and there. This is a very powerful mechanic for players who like to have control. In addition to these things that change the way the game is played, we've also just added strictly more of the content that is present. There are new artifacts in the Raid Villages deck. There are new prophecies in the Prophecies deck. There are new Reavers in the Reavers deck that have new effects that players haven't seen before. Things that let you access the new tokens or the new dice and give you abilities that just weren't present in the base game. We've also added more treasures to the Keeps deck, and this serves a couple different purposes. 1, it gives us more vectors for which players can score their prophecies, and 2, it dilutes a deck that players had previously complained was too easy for them to pursue victory. All of the content that we've added to Reavers of Midgard through the Gods and Prophets expansion serves to evolve and enhance the core gameplay. I think Reavers of Midgard is a great game, and I love it as is, but adding this expansion in, once I've done it, I never want to go back and play the other one. It opens up so many different paths to victory. It allows me to be a more flexible player. It allows me to pursue different strategies every time. And here I am, having played it 200 times at this point and still enjoying it. So what do you think? Does this sound like an interesting expansion to you? Did I do a good job of explaining it? Let us know in the comments down below. Thanks for watching, and as always, please like, follow, and subscribe. See you next time.